graffiti, murals, street art. For as long as people have been around, we've left our mark. Whether it's what we live in, what we travel on, where we gather, or how we decorate all of it. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. And if there's one thing that illustrates that idea, it's street art.
After all, one person's neighborhood mural is another person's vandalism. One person's eyesore is another's political expression. Where do you draw the line? Does it depend on the type of art, for example? Or where you find it? Or what the message is? Today, we're looking at the colorful, provocative, and polarizing subject of street art. Where it started, where it's going, and the role it plays in human society. It might make you think differently about street art. It's time to think bigger.
What is street art? First off, we're talking about more than just graffiti, though graffiti is a big part of it. Street art can be messages, either words or pictures that are created in public spaces. It's usually unofficial, but it's not always unofficial. We'll get into that in a moment. When we mention street art, the first thing you imagine may be graffiti or spray painted or inked words and images on the sides of buildings, bridges, train trestles and trains, water towers, sometimes places you can't even believe. How did they get up there? But street art also takes the form of stickers, flyers, posters, and other installations. Like I said, usually, but not always posted furtively, secretly, under the radar. These messages have all kinds of purposes, from political statements to marking gang territory to promoting a band to just saying, I was here. I was here. That's important because another aspect of most street art is that it's temporary, at risk of being scrubbed out of existence or layered over at any time. The graffiti wall you see today may look different tomorrow. In fact, it probably will. You likely already have some feelings about street art. Maybe your opinion changes based on what or where it is. Like, does a spray-painted name or tag on your neighborhood 7-Eleven feel different from a mural you see on your drive to work, or one you see visiting another country or city? However you feel about street art, humans have expressed themselves this way for ages. In fact, street art actually predates the streets themselves.
There are many claims to the world's oldest graffiti, but can you believe experts think it's at least 51,000 years old? This painting of a wild pig and 3 human figures was found on the Indonesian island of Sulawesi. Why is this discovery so important? Well, because the art is representational. While it's not the first human-made markings that we've found, it is the first that consists of more than patterns, the first that represents something else. Findings like this are shifting assumptions about when creative thinking emerged, and the techniques used to date the Indonesian drawings may shed light on even older works in other places. Now, moving ahead tens of thousands of years, graffiti from the classical era is well documented. In fact, it was a common method of human expression in ancient Rome.
I'm just thinking about
Pompeii's entombment under volcanic ash, still being excavated today, has preserved these ancient examples of street art and messages from 2,000 years ago. And what do these messages tell us? People have always had something to share. People have always been opinionated. People have always been dramatic. People have always been funny, or tried to be funny. People have always wanted to leave their mark. And apparently, people have always liked to be a little naughty. Okay, very naughty. Some things, they just don't change, even when the art itself is changing constantly. But one 20th century invention changed street art for good.
Street art wouldn't be street art without the ubiquitous spray paint can, which was invented in 1949 by an Illinois paint company owner named Ed Seymour. Do you think Ed knew what was to come? Because graffiti and street art really took off in the later half of the 20th century, coming to life in cities like New York and Philadelphia in the 1960s and 70s. Tagging, usually using spray paint or marker to represent the artist's name, is one of the most common types of street art, and it exploded in popularity during these decades. In the 1960s, for example, a Philly tagger named Daryl McRae, nicknamed Cornbread, drew attention for his messages professing love to a girl in his junior high. In the 1980s, street art took on an even greater prominence and became a commodity. Artists like Keith Haring and Basquiat started with subway art, but soon found their work displayed in museums and purchased by collectors. These days, Banksy is probably the biggest name in street art, an artist who still protects their anonymity. Banksy gained fame with improbably placed images before moving into more expensive statements, like the time he sold a work that famously shredded during an auction.
And selling for $860,000.
But street art can reach beyond individual expression or action, more than one person's product. The Berlin Wall is a great example of how individual acts can become unified into one powerful symbol. During the Cold War, in the final years, the wall split the city of Berlin into two. The western side of the wall covered in art and messages, while the communist east was blank and untouched, and not coincidentally heavily guarded. More recently, street art played a role in the Arab Spring of the early 2010s, with images used to commemorate those killed or injured during government revolts. Think about the last piece of political street art you saw. How did it make you feel? How would you feel tomorrow if you woke up to a Banksy stencil on your house?
Wherever you see street art, you will probably see attempts to discourage it or punish the people caught creating it.
You've done it again. Good work, Ted.
Dealing with unwanted street art is a big pain for many cities, and therefore it's big business. The total cost of combating graffiti was estimated at $12 billion back in 2002. And individual cities budget millions today to combat and remove graffiti. They also limit the tools used to create it. In the US, states and municipalities restrict spray paint sales just like they restrict alcohol or cigarettes. And most require buyers to either be 18 or 21 before buying spray paint. Chicago went a step further and banned all spray paint sales in 1992. In case there's any doubt as to what motivates these laws, the UK spray paint regulations are part of what's called the Anti-Social Behaviour Act. It prohibits aerosol paint sales to people under 16 years old. Other communities have embraced street art, or it's more accurate to say they've embraced specific examples of street art. Some suggest that creating areas where graffiti is legal, or installing murals that reflect a community's interest, discourages vandalism. London's Leaka Street Tunnel is a famous example of a place where graffiti is encouraged, even letting kids don protective suits while leaving their contributions. People even attend festivals around the world that incorporate and celebrate graffiti, muralism, and other forms of street art, from Brisbane and Cape Town to Grenoble and Austin. And wherever people gather, creativity happens, and humans leave their mark.
Graffiti, street art, vandalism, expression, rebellion, hope, whatever you call it, it's not going away. Because as long as humans have something to say, we'll find a wall. And when cities create space for it, legally or not, something amazing happens. A blank surface becomes a conversation. A neighborhood becomes a canvas.
And sometimes what starts as a mess of spray paint becomes a mural of meaning. We hope this helped you think bigger about street art. If you found this illuminating, give us a like and hit the subscribe button to find out what we'll be discovering next.
Bing. I like the honk. That's kind of funny. You
Yeah.
might be able to work with that. Putt chug. We need that in there.
What line was I messing up? I was doing something there.
Have all kinds of purposes from... Sorry, I thought you were telling me no.
No, it was a bug, sorry.
Yeah.
I was shaking my head, I was going...